the 2 points, I think, something like that.
Yes, I think, yeah, I
Call it
yeah, I
return
think it's gonna be line to sight or something, yeah.
absurd, ridiculous.
So,
I mean,
Jeremy, can I measure the square footage of my house?
Yes, you could measure it, and then you'd come back with a number, and you'd have a measurement. Yes.
So, what tool do I use to measure it?
Depends on what you're measuring. Are you talking about the square footage of your house? You'd probably use a tape measure.
Tape measure measures linear distance, not square footage.
Okay.
Oh dear.
So how would I measure? Because you want a measurement. How would I measure the square footage of my house?
Oh, you're saying it's not a measurement because you have to calculate it?
I'm asking you. I think it is a measurement. You seem to disagree.
I don't disagree with that. Square footage is a measurement.
So it is a measurement. Okay.
If you
So
came back and was like, if you came back and was like, yo, I measured the square footage of my house, it's this number, and then I said, okay, where's the measurements? And you had, okay, this room was 10 feet by 12 feet, and you had, 12 feet 1 inches, and this other room was 8 foot 1 inch by 6 foot 2 inches, and you had the actual measurements, there would be no debate.
We have that.
No, you don't. That's what you don't have.
That's
You
exactly
don't have
what we're
that
doing.
with this. You can't measure time either, or speed. You can could say you can measure time. That's debatable, but you can't measure speed. Yeah, I would still consider that. If you had the actual numbers of what happened, then yeah, you got some measurements in there. With this, there's no measurement.
So which one are the original measurements from which they got the averages?
Yeah, the actual measurements. Yes, that's what we don't. That's what you don't have. The actual measurements.
Why? Why do you need those? Like, do you disagree with their adding and dividing, or
Because
what's the
this is
doubt?
supposed to be science, and where's the fucking data at? Where's the actual data? There is no data for this. We don't have the measurements.
George gave it to you. George did the measurements. He measured it, and it was legit, and it happened. And so did Soundly. He did it, and it happened. I mean, people have done this. Many people have
Nobody's
done it.
measured a spherical triangle in this arena.
They've
For sure.
They've obviously have if they've done it. I mean,
we measured
he
the
measured it. I mean,
distances.
what's the definition? What are you trying to find out here? Like, how do you even get an answer for what you're asking? Like, what would be a proper answer for you?
You get 3 mountaintops and you make the measurements, and then you come back and you're like, oh, look, here's the measurement, which they don't have.
Yeah, but then you have to, like, altitude and I mean, you got, like, that's not going to work like that. See, you don't even know what answer you want.
I do know what answer I want. I want the measurements that they measured, which they don't have.
No, you're not looking for answers. You're just
The
looking
average.
to tell everyone we're wrong.
You have the averages, but you're not satisfied with the averages, and I'm wondering, like, where exactly you think they've miscalculated.
I don't know. I can't check to see if they did miscalculate because I don't have any of the data, any of the measurements to even check. So who the fuck knows?
Now you could go and do it.
But even if you did, like, why would you take their word for it? Like,
if I did have the measurements, so you admit there's no measurement.
You don't have the measurements.
No, I don't think that.
They're out there, but
what you're defining as a measurement is correct. No, I don't agree with that.
Do you understand that the tools we have today and the tools they had back then can't measure 3 digits past an arc second? Do you understand that or no?
We can measure
that's not what measurement actually is.
Yes, an arc second.
Hold on. What would you say, Totem?
I said that's not what a measurement actually is.
A measurement is you
agree that we can measure. If you agree that we can measure the square footage of a house, and that process includes a calculation, you could say, okay, I need to see the original size and length, but that's still a measurement of square footage, even though we had to calculate it.
Well, it's technically not a measurement; it's a calculation. But if you came back and said your house was 20,000 square feet, I'd be like, bullshit. Let me see the measurements, and then you'd be like, all right, this room was 10 feet 2 inches by 11 foot 4 inches. You know what I'm saying? You'd come back with the measurements, and then we wouldn't be debating anything because it'd be like, okay, we have the measurements. I can do the math and figure out if you fucked up or your house is really only 2,000 square feet instead of 20. Maybe you added a zero. Maybe some funny business happened and you fucked the math up. I'd be able to make sure that your house is 20,000 square feet. With this, there is no measurement to make sure that is the square footage of your house or that is the spherical triangle.
Yeah, but okay,
Sure,
so
but
you're
A, you would still have to
asking all
take
the way
their
to
word for
thousands,
it.
though.
Hold on. What do you say, Totem? Tony, you just take 5, dude.
All right, I
Take
will.
5.
I just want to
You're
talk
not
too.
really.
I'm gonna say also, fuck.
You're not like up to speed with
Yeah,
this or
I
something.
am
Just
up to
listen for
speed.
a
You're
second.
not up to speed, Jeremy, actually, because you can measure it up to the thousandth and 10,000s, because it's right here. Just Google it. It's 0.01743. So you can go to the thousands. You can go to the 10,000. So I don't know what you're talking about. You can't measure an arc second to the third. Yeah, what are you talking about?
What tool did they use?
Let me Google it and look. Are you trying to say that they didn't use a tool
Post
they
your
just made
thing
it
in the
up?
chat so we can all see it. Post it.
Give me a damn
Because
second.
Shoe Bill says he has one of the best devices out and he can only measure a third of an arc second.
But why do you have to have it to the thousands though? Why does it have to be that precise? I mean,
That's because that's what they're all posted as in the arc of the parallel paper. They're all posted 3 digits past the arc second. It's not possible to make that measurement. That's how we know it's not a measurement.
but they're I don't get it. How? Okay, let me put it in the Google. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Tony, if I came back and told you my foot is I don't know, 9.72334561000943277778 inches. Would you believe that I actually could measure that?
Well,
Yes or no?
yeah,
I
you'd have to
would.
be like you'd have to have some special tools. But no, I don't think you could or I could. But I mean, there is a number in between, at least up to the three. But god dang, why is it got to be so? Why can't it just be the 10th? Why can't it just
I
be
don't
the
know,
one?
Tony, because it would be to the 10th, but they posted 3 digits past it, which is not possible to measure, just like the shoe size thing I just did with you.
But arc seconds goes past the thousandth. Like, so you
No,
can measure.
dude, 3 digits past the arc second.
Yeah, there's 5 right. Okay, well, let me go.
They have arc seconds, dude. They have their this many degrees,
Oh
this
no,
many
so
minutes, and then this many arc seconds, and then they have 3 digits past that.
okay, so when you
If this was a measurement, it'd be to the thousandth of an arc second.
okay, so if you break down arc seconds into inches, an arc second inch would be 0.0743, I think. Yeah, an inch. So there is a measurement for it. I
This doesn't
mean,
have anything to do with inches. It depends on how far away it is and shit. You don't know, dude.
how do
Inches
you
is
know?
not involved with this at all.
What are you talking about? How do you measure something without inches or feet? What are you
It's
measuring
just,
then?
An angle.
dude. Have you ever seen a protractor?
Yes, it's just they're measurements. Those are
Okay, when
measurements.
you use a protractor, I realize there is a ruler at the bottom. However, when you're making the degree measurement, it has nothing to do with the inches.
Yes, it does. There
Tony,
is a measurement between 1 degree and 2 degrees. There is an inch there. There's a
no,
measurement.
there's not.
Who did
All
Hey,
you?
right,
what the fuck is this guy saying, bro?
I don't
You,
know,
you
man.
understand the
Totem,
Jeremy's
can you
right on
straighten
that.
him out? Because Totem's
you
not.
understand
It'll
you understand
be
you
better well
understand the
received
form.
if it comes from Totem.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
uh,
Yep. Mute me.
so angles,
Both of you,
minutes,
dude. God damn.
seconds, arc seconds. Those are
Let me
angular
give you a reason.
distances.
Let me give you a reason to mute me. You're a fucking dumb fucking pussy, dude. Now mute me.
All right. Well, if you're interested, you can turn those into distance measurements, but you need to know the distance. Like angular size is relative to distance. So an angle is an angle, distance is distance. One can translate to the other, but you need to know like how far away that thing is. I don't know if
Yes,
you was
don't have
listening.
nothing to do with inches.
I mean, it can,
Just
but it
talking
doesn't.
about the angle.
Like, it doesn't.
You can make angle measurements without having to know anything about the inches.
Yeah. So I guess now you're saying that square footage is not a measurement, if I understand you.
Technically, it's not. No, it would be a calculation. However, if you had the measurements to back it up, there would be no dispute. You know what I'm saying? Like if you came to me with a 20,000 square foot house, and I was like bullshit, and you showed me the measurements that you made, I could go over the measurements, do the calculations myself, and be like, oh, okay, since we have the measurements, this all checks out. But with this spherical triangle, there are no measurements for me to check out. Like I can't. There's nothing I could do because there are no
Sure.
measurements.
So
Because there's no measurements.
can I measure temperature?
Bro, this ain't about temperature or how big a square foot of a house is. This is about a measurement, and there isn't one
Yeah,
here.
that's what
If
we're
there
trying
was
to show
one
the
here,
boundary.
we wouldn't be debating it still.
Can we measure temperature?
I don't know. I don't really care.
Okay.
Sure, we can
All
measure
right.
temperature.
It
Yeah.
comes down to me like, okay, great. So if I ask you to take to measure the temperature of an elliptic sized pool, how would you go about doing that?
Get a thermometer and put it in the pool, dude. This ain't about pools or thermometers or square feet of houses. It's about degree. It's about degrees. The measurement of degrees. That is a measurement. That is a measurement, right? Degrees.
It can be. So if
It
I
can.
put a
It can be.
thermometer in
Yeah.
the
It is. What do you mean? It can be. It is. It's a measurement. Degrees.
degrees is a unit. If you relate that to a measurement, then it's a measurement, but it's not necessarily. I can make up degrees and it's not a measurement.
Yeah. You take an angle to something. You get it in degree. Your number in degrees, and now we have a measurement, right?
Yes, that's a measurement.
Okay, that's a measurement. That does not
I can,
exist in the spherical excess paper.
right. You know what else is a measurement? Taking that same measurement, doing it 7 or 8 times, and taking an average. That's also a measurement.
No, it's not. That's not a measurement because when you do that, you end up with 3 digits past the arc second, and that is impossible to measure. So that's how we know it's definitely not a measurement.
No, I disagree. Same with the pool. You want to stick a thermometer in there. How do you know that
Wait, that's
that
not a
reading is
measurement.
accurate for the entire pool?
That's not a measurement. That's 7 measurements and then a statistic.
No. My point is, if you want to measure the temperature of that pool,
Well, no,
you
an
stick
average is
a
not a measurement.
thermometer
It's a
in like the
statistic, bro.
corner. If you take that thermometer, you stick it in a corner. How do you know that's the same for the entire pool?
An
How do you
average
know it's
is
not
not a
colder at the
measurement.
bottom?
An
You couldn't
average is not
catch a
a
stick that's
measurement.
from the sky. It
An
is a
average
measurement.
is not a measurement. It is a statistic.
It can be. It can be a measurement. It absolutely
Okay,
No,
can be a
it's
measurement.
literally a statistic.
okay, but in
It is
this
quite
case,
literally. It is
it's
quite
definitely
literally a
not though.
statistic. Something derived from the data, sir.
Okay.
An average is
They
something you get after you've done the measurements. You do measurements, and then you get an average. That comes after the
Yes,
measurement.
the average is called a statistic. A statistic and a measurement are two different categories. Just like a range is a
what is
statistic. Just like
yeah.
what is it? Sigma, the confidence intervals, is a statistic. It's not a measurement. It's a statistic. It's derived from the data. The data is the measurements.
Let me know when you're finished. Okay. How do you define a measurement?
Me? Let me. I mean, do you want me to
Yes.
go grab some sort of official source or something?
Uh, Off the top of your dome, if you want, you can grab a source. I don't care.
Off the top of your dome.
All right, I just put that link in there. Sorry to call you guys B word. My bad. I just kind of, but I just put a link in there. And yes, degrees have inches. There's measurements
It
to it.
can have inches. This is not related to that at all, though. You can turn it into inches. You can say, oh, it's 1 arc second lower. And given how far away it is, that translates to this many inches. That's not what we're talking about, though.
Then you're not talking about even measuring then. You're not even, there's no way to measure then in your world,
That's the
right?
thing.
Hold on. Hey, Tony, from your source, about halfway down, it says it's all relative. If someone asks how small is an arc second, the answer is relative. It depends on how big the circle is
Yes.
of which the arc second is a part.
Yeah, exactly. It has to do with the circle. So I mean, or it has to do with whatever you're measuring. But that's easy to measure that, you know.
I have an answer. I have an answer for the guy who was quizzing me from AI Google himself.
Go
So
for
let
it.
me just yes, measurement is the process of calibrating instruments to gather data, while statistics is the process of analyzing data. So a statistic is fundamentally different from measurement or data.
It's the
Data
collection.
and
Okay, so
data and
if you ask,
measurements are on the primary initial side. Statistics are the
I don't.
processing of that data for analysis. An average is a type of statistic. Do you want a screenshot, sir?
But it's still
No,
an
that's
Yeah,
fine.
post a
average.
So
screenshot.
I don't. Sure, go ahead. So I don't discount AI by default, but the fact
Because
that
I
it's
mean,
a measurement
you know why I'm
system
telling you
without
this?
what
Because
you
I've read
ask.
it in a statistic textbook before. That's why I remember this because I learned it. You,
Yeah,
sir,
but
are disagreeing.
Well, that's fine.
how is a statistic?
Google confirms what I learned, sir. That's why I'm trying to correct you. It's not a
How
dick
about
measurement.
AI confirms
We
you
can
guys
all
like this?
just learn about the difference. We can all just learn about the difference between a measurement and a statistic, and it doesn't have to be about our egos.
Well, a statistic has
It's
to
not
do
about
with
your
the
ego.
accumulation of all the measurements that you took, right? So, in reality, it is a measurement because it's all the measurements you took and analyzing
No,
them.
that's not the argument.
No, because you can have different
So
statistics from the same data, bro.
Okay, but they all
Like
come
you
from
can have a
numbers
median
and
and an
measurements.
average, and those are two different statistics from the same data.
Are you trying to tell me? Sorry.
Statistics are specifically different from data, bro. This is like fundamental data science, fundamental statistics. I don't understand why you're arguing about this. I
Saying that
just read off the Google thing for you.
I just read off.
but what
That's
you
fine.
read,
I'm trying to say that there's not
what you
measurement
read,
in a statistic, or I'm just saying that there's measurements in a statistic. They are. If you're analyzing measurements of something, you're measuring a football field, and everyone's doing, and they're
Sir,
getting
you're
little
arguing with your
numbers.
own academic institutions. I'm just here to let you know and correct you.
No,
The
you just
argument
read
is really like
it. Come on. Honestly, think about it. A statistic has measurements in it. It has all the measurements
I
you
don't
have.
need to think about your random theory when I have your institutions that disagree with you vehemently. Thank you.
I'm saying like measurements is a part of a statistic. If you're
Yeah,
if you're
because
measuring
here's the
things,
thing. Just like an engine is part of a car, but a car isn't an engine, sir. This is very basic stuff.
that's not what we're saying though. That's not what anyone's
Tony,
That
in
is
saying.
what
order
you're
to take
saying.
an
You're saying
average,
the
it is what
hold
I'm
on,
statistic
saying.
of
hold
the
on, Noah.
data is also simultaneously the data. That's what
You're saying
No,
there's
you
no
really are
measurements in
saying.
hold on, guys, hold on.
it.
Tony, in order to take an average, you need the measurements, right?
Yes.
Right. Yes, we don't have the measurements for this. That's what we're
Okay.
arguing
Well,
about. If there is
well,
even
look.
a measurement there, and there's not.
So for this paper, there isn't. I guess they messed up or something and didn't put the measurement in there. But there are other papers that have measurements. How about we talk about those ones?
Of a spherical triangle, show me a paper with a measurement of a spherical triangle in it. Let's see it.
Any
No,
geodesy,
you
anyone
have to.
measurements in that line of work in that field will have the statistics
No,
or the statistics. See, you got me saying statistics now. We'll have the measurement.
Tony, the problem is you have to hunker down what a measurement is, because that's exactly the trick. Like they're asking for a measurement because that disqualifies most of what you're going to find regarding this topic. That
We're
doesn't
asking
need
for a measurement because
qualify.
that's how you get information about geometry is by measuring it.
So it sounds like a good way to get out
Incorrect.
of actually having to like prove your side's right is what it sounds like is what's going on here.
No,
No.
it sounds like you keep asserting that an average is a measurement when it's not, and your own institution disagrees with you. And
Why would you say average is measurement?
we're asking for a measurement, and you keep giving us a statistic. And we've told you time and time again that is not a measurement, that is a statistic. And here's the thing, and you guys disagree with your own institutions. Maybe you're just the wrong Glober.
It was
Maybe you're just
opposite.
the wrong Glober, dude. Because your own Glober paradigm
You said the
doesn't seem
measurements
to
in the
agree with the
average.
mainstream Glober paradigm.
Jesus.
And yeah, you seem to have an internal contradiction within your own worldview.
We
No, we
said
don't. So
no. You said average isn't a measurement. I'm saying there's measurements in an average if you're measuring something. Do you get what I'm saying? There's measurements in an average or in a statistic because you had to accumulate all the measurements of everyone to come up with an average. All of that average is the statistic, and they're all made of measurements. I mean, are you guys fucking retarded? Come on, man.
So I was actually looking into this the other day, and there is a measurement that they use, and the thing that they used to measure it in 1897 was the William Beck duplex bars, and they did it at in the Utah Flats, salt flats, and basically it's a flat Earth measurement, and then they derived all their triangulation from that. So that's pretty cool.
So I'm curious. Vapegate quoted AI, which apparently of its own accord threw in what a statistic was. I suspect that you tailored the question to ask the difference rather than a definition.
Yes, good point.
Right. Do you
That's
have a
exactly what
definition?
happened. Yeah. See, on the globe side, we think about things like just better. I put like 4 R's behind that. Better, for real. Jeez. An average isn't a measurement. Of course, it's not a measurement, but it's an accumulation of all the measurements.
We think of it best as.
Okay, so of course an
Just say it
average
is
is
that.
not a measurement. All the numbers in the spherical triangulation of the arc of the parallel of North America, it's all averages. So we now agree it's not a measurement, right, Tony?
I don't agree.
An average is a measurement. It's an accumulation of all the measurements, Jeremy. Do you not get that? I mean, come on. The average. Come on.
Yo, I got next.
Are we still on this?
Hold on, let me just say something real quick.
We are.
Oh man.
I haven't heard
I'll be
anybody
honest,
mention.
I disagree with Tony.
I mean, I disagree with Jeremy too on this a little bit. I'm not trying to start a big war on it, but I haven't heard anybody mention the difference between a first order and a second order measurement.
There we go.
There. Okay, that's a good question. All right.
I brought it every time. I mean, I bring it up all the time, but it's like I don't know.
Hook us up. Throw some knowledge at us real quick.
I just posted
so
a link
Lon,
for
would you
first
agree
order
that both-
measurement in the surveying, like the Coast survey in the 1800s. That's a first order measurement. It's with William Beck's duplex bars, and it's a flat Earth measurement. They treat it as flat, and then they assume everything after that.
Where you posted that, brother?
The main chat.
Cool. So, with the spherical excess, I do consider it a measurement, but it would be considered a second order measurement. It's less reliable than a first order measurement. What Jeremy's talking about would be a first order measurement. You could still make measurements with theodolites and optics, but as soon as you start calculating things and doing averages and doing using trigonometry, bro, it becomes a second order measurement. Especially when you consider. Well, hold on. When you start considering refraction or perspective, or why things seem to be dipping, right? Or why you have spherical axis to begin with, it becomes a second order measurement, which they're less reliable than first order measurements, bro. A first order measurement is just a direct measurement. And if what Jeremy's saying is true, if you just physically measured it with like a tape measure, that's a first order measurement, bro. You're going out there and you're measuring it physically, That's the primary measurement.
Why are first order measurements better by default than secondary?
Because you're physically going out there and measuring the distances by hand. You're not relying on an optic at a distance that's prone to refraction and perspective and all types of distortions. And then you're calculating some trigonomic some Pythagorean theorem thing, and then like you're adding 3 angles and doing this and then affirming the globe. That's where you get to second order measurements, and it's unreliable.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Like going back to the square footage of my house, for example. Let's say I develop a tool right? It's a very simple tool. It's just a 1 foot by 1 foot square tile, right? And I lay this tile or a number of tiles across my floor, and I count them up, and I count the square footage of my house. Is that more or less accurate than measuring the sides of the walls and calculating it from those?
Less.
Bro,
Which is more reliable?
It's less.
bro, you have to physically
Right.
measure, right? Not just calculate shit.
That's what we did.
Physically measure.
Right, we did that
That's
with
why.
the tile. You think that's more reliable than calculating it?
No,
What's
no,
this?
no.
How do
Dude,
you know this? What's the space between the tiles?
Exactly. That's my point. First order measurements are not by default more accurate than second order measurements.
imagine trying to use a theodolite to measure square footage, for example, or measure angles, dude. How would you do? That's
Yeah,
obviously less reliable than actually physically measuring with a tape measure. Like, stop being dull, dude. There's a primary measurement,
not
first
being
order
dull.
measurement,
I just
and then
gave
there's
you
second order measurements, bro. You're trying to measure
Yeah, I just gave you
distances,
an example.
right? And angles miles away with an optic. It's not as reliable, dude. Point blank. You're
But
asking me
that's
why,
not a
bro.
reliable heuristic, is
Bro,
what I'm
hold on,
saying.
bro. Hold on,
I
bro.
gave you
It's
an
self
example where that's less reliable.
it's dude, it's self-evident why it's less reliable. You're coping really hard right now. And you're trying to figure out
Really
a
not.
wiggle room to try to wiggle out of your yeah, dude. You're coping hard right now.
No, this should be obvious to anybody. Second order measurements are not by default, they can be, but they're not by default less reliable than first order measurements. It depends on
I'm
the
good,
tool
you
you're
guys.
using, if it's adequate for the job. It depends on the methodology.
That's really what the globe got in 2025.
Yeah, they don't know what measurement is. They've been arguing about calculation versus measurement.
They don't
I mean,
understand.
I've not gotten, the only person I've gotten a definition of a measurement for is Shepherd Daddy. Like, he's the only one who actually defined a measurement. So I don't know. Seems like the plotter is kind of lacking in that regard.
What you guys measuring?
Square footage, I think, was the last example.
Linear inches and feet.
Square footage.
You're measuring square footage? You can't have a square on a sphere. Welcome to Flat Earth.
I thought you had to calculate square footage.
My name is Nathan Oakley.
That's absolutely correct.
Back in the back.
Inches, miles, they're linear distances. They're not curving.
You don't know what linear means.
You can measure. Yeah, you can measure any curve.
Just heard the rebuttal. You don't know what linear means. Sorry, was the rebuttal? You don't know what linear means?
Yes. So linear in the context of miles means. Oh well, okay. I guess you're gonna overtalk me now. You're gonna interrupt me. I got it. If you don't want to learn what it means, because that would hurt.
I didn't tell you, Nathan.
Don't gatekeep, Omnivore. Just say what you're saying, man.
Okay. So you don't have to like it, but linear means in this context that the amount of miles rises or falls along a single axis. So it's like an x-axis. So if I'm going from A to B and I'm increasing by steps of 1 mile apiece, it means I'm not increasing by like a quadratic or something like that. So
no, that's not what linear means.
Today you learn.
That's not what linear means. Arranged and existing along a straight line.
Can I express the circumference of a circle in feet and inches?
Just the guy just told me I was wrong or didn't understand what it meant, and then he gave me a load of waffle about what it would mean in a context, and then didn't define it. Just wrong. He's just stupid. He doesn't understand what linear means. Did you understand me educating you on linear what actually means? Because you were wrong on me. You were stupid, idiotic.
I just
Maybe you just need to
looked up.
Maybe you just need to
Did you ask me a question?
Maybe that's what you need to do while I'm responding to you, Omnivore. Maybe one of the moderators will tell you off like I was getting told off. But you just don't know what linear means, you stupid bonehead. You told me about what it would mean in a certain context and then failed to describe it as a straight line. Well, that just means you're an idiot and don't know what linear means, Omnivore. It's okay. I can tell him he's stupid. in the gap that's allotted.
All right,
to me.
chill, guy.
The
It's
square
party
footage
popping,
of
but yo,
Omnivore.
come on, man.
Like he felt the need to do to me, maybe I'll get me.
If he stops talking, I'll get to respond, and he can't let that happen.
5 people talking through me. Maybe this neutral platform allows that to happen, Omnivore. When you get absolutely handed your own, dumbass, you'll go on server deafen, will you, Dumbo? Well, what a coward retard. He's put
Okay,
himself
whoa,
on
whoa, no, we don't do name calling here. Nathan,
platform when I win, 5 people talk through me.
Nathan, you need to stop name calling, please. Thank you.
Were you done? Were you done there, Nathan?
You don't know what linear means, Omnivore. You're
were you done?
Stupid.
Okay, so now you're gonna interrupt me again, right? So I asked if you were done.
I'm answering him, and he's talking straight through me.
I asked if you were. So okay, well, whatever. I asked if you were done. Let me know when you're done. Oh, there we go. Okay, you're done. All right. So in mathematics, the term linear is used in 2 distinct senses for 2 different properties: linearity of a function, linearity of a polynomial. The example of a linear function is the function defined by maps to a real line in the Euclidean plane. So what they're talking about mathematically, that is an axis. Doesn't mean that you can't use a linear property. Unlike spherical geometry, a great circle route on a sphere. Oh, well, good. Yeah, he wasn't very value added anyway.
No, I mean you can express it with the circumference of a circle 8 inches. That's just
of course. He's
well, Omni, you straight up, you definitely started with the first jab, bro. Come on, you started that, right?
It's Nathan Oakley. Are you
okay?
serious?
Is that gonna be an excuse you're gonna be able to stand in front of Jesus with, bro?
I believe so. I'll say it's Nathan Oakley, and Jesus will be like, "I got your back, bro."
Really? You think?
That's funny.
Probably.
Ah, man,
I was going to say something, but I won't.
That's okay, Omni. Just do 3 Hail Marys.
Okay.
So sorry, I had to leave. Did we all figured out what the word average means now? Where are we at now?
No, we had Nathan Oakley, and we had to derail to linear before he got triggered and left.
Nathan Oakley was in here?
For 10 seconds.
Holy crap, I haven't talked to him in like years.
That's really not productive to the conversation. You did kind of poke the bear, and now you're like saying it was his fault. Like, I mean, the point of the server is to have productive conversations. If you're just running over somebody all the time talking, and then you guys are like calling each other names, and like it's just really toxic to listen to. And what you're doing now is not helpful either.
Is that your first time ever meeting Omnivore, Red Bear? I'm just kidding.
In fairness,
Sorry. This is supposed to be Discord, right? I mean, Discord is like communicating with each other and stuff. I mean, why are there such hard, fast rules in here? Like, how do you if I say something, you have to agree with it or be comfortable with it? If I say something that makes you uncomfortable, am I the bad person?
So, I mean, I want to because
you can't handle it.
I want to respond. Hang on a second. I want to respond to Redford Bear because she made a reasonable point. So Nathan holds the, I'm going to say opinion because I'll grant him that maybe he really believes this, that you could not use a scale like feet to measure the diameter of a circle. Do you get that, Redford Bear? Because he thinks feet are linear, therefore, which they're a linear form of measure, which means you could not express the diameter of a circle in feet. So, if you think, so Redford Bear, if you think, that's a reasonable thing to say, I think he's got a point, then, then yes, your position there is completely defensible. But if you realize that is a trolling position and that what he does, I went on mute and then I went on deafen and he was still insulting me when I came back. if you think that that is a reasonable way to behave, then I don't know what to tell you.
I
That's what
never said
happened.
it was. Did you? Maybe you were deafened when I was telling him to stop name calling. However, it's really not the place to be talking about moderation actions too, and he's not even in the room anymore, so we're just not going to talk about him anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, you made a huge assumption based on what he would think. You don't know that he thinks that for sure, and then based your whole case upon that presupposition. It was like all based off faulty premise.
No, he agreed.
Everybody here
We're coming
knows.
into the
Hold on.
room.
Hold on. Everybody here knows you cannot talk to Nathan Oakley. It's
For
impossible.
real. It's like coming into a room and then punching someone in the face and then running away and then trying to analyze why he punched you in the face. And he's not in the room anymore, so we
Tony,
can't
you
talk
were
about
just
it.
defending him being here. What are you talking about? Why are you now
I was
switching?
not defending him
You were
being.
just
I don't.
saying, why are there even rules
Disobedience, come on.
here?
Oh, why the rules? Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. You got like, she's making it. Or what do you guys? She's making it sound like we have to have rules. What the
Tony,
fuck?
Tony, chill
You're
out,
good.
dude.
Tony,
You weren't even
yeah,
involved.
I agree.
What the hell?
I agree. I just think that it's a case where, you know, Nathan's a special case. And by the way, in terms of, I didn't strawman his position. I made fun of his position, and he agreed that it was in fact his position, Torah. So no, I didn't presume anything. I accurately stated his.
All right, guy. All right, forget it. Let's move
Okay.
on.
All
So
right.
going
Yeah,
back to
what's the
spherical
topic?
axis. Going back to spherical axis. Why do you think that we're arriving with spherical axis? Do you think there's any other possibilities? Why you know the sum of the triangles equals to more than 180 degrees? If you're intellectually honest, no, they do.
How much over 180 degrees are we talking?
No, they
here?
don't, dude. They mathematically they create that. They don't physically, dude.
Okay.
They mathematically create that, bro.
We get
Literally
that, but how much
creating that.
over 180 line? How much?
think that
You could disagree all you want, dude. You can't get a shot if you're setting up equipment and you get a shot. You cannot even get the shot if it's greater than 180. If you're making a triangle in 3 different positions,
it's the
dude,
sum.
come on, bro. That's retarded.
It's not
bro.
one triangle. It's the sum of the triangles.
It's the sum. Okay,
Right? And the reason, and I think the
Oh
reason
my
that the reason that you get a sum of more than 180 is because you get a horizontal dip because of perspective.
Dude, the only thing that's not even true, dude, because the second something is dropping away from your position and you're trying to take a shot to it, that means it's no longer on your plane of where you're actually creating the angle to it from. That means you would not, like, let's say you are on one side of the hill and I'm on the other side of the hill, and then I take my theodolite, and if I was to level it, it'll be looking up in the sky over your head. Now, if I drop it down to hit your head and your body's behind the hill, and then I say, oh, look it, I'm taking an angle to this guy, but now I'm cutting through the hill to get to you to where I'm creating that fucking angle to you, because I'm creating a 90-degree once I'm fucking plumbing up my vertical position. Come on, dude, just stop, y'all. Like,
dude.
all you guys, bro,
I
are retarded if you
understand,
think
dude.
that.
I understand it, dude. It's an artificial horizon. They level it out. Sometimes when they level out the instrument and you look through it, the horizon isn't even at on the horizontal line of the axis.
You don't even, dude, you don't need a horizon to establish that. You setting up a fucking a theodolite and getting a vertical and then leveling it. And then when you are then looking out at a 90-degree angle, you are then creating you could create a new horizon. Your eyepiece that swivels
relax,
360
dude.
is
Okay,
the horizon at that point.
Gosh, dude. But hold on,
Yeah, no.
dude. We're all we're doing right
Okay.
here is we're trying to investigate. We're trying to figure out why are we getting spherical axis? What are the different
I just
possibilities?
told you why they do that.
Oh,
I just
all
told
right.
you why.
Okay, that's one possibility, Apocrypha. Great.
They
You want a golf clap for that,
mathematically
dude? What do
create
you
it.
want, dude? What do you want, a golf clap?
Okay,
dude?
here, let me tell you how they do it. Let me tell you how they do it. Let me tell you how to do that.
Bro, hold on, dude. Hold on, bro. I wasn't even done, dude. I wasn't even done. I wasn't even close to done. Right? When you look through a theodolite, right? Automatically, already, because of the glass of the theodolite, you're already gonna have something called collimation. There's already gonna be a dip, dude.
I agree.
So when you do the math, even if it's already affirming the consequence, which it is, you already got problems, dude. You already got excess.
What is it that go up or sideways? Why does it always go down?
Yeah, why does it always have to go down?
Because there's a downward bias.
Even if you went on your head, it would still go down. It doesn't matter.
Because the light travels towards the denser medium.
The
Even when
spherical
Snell's,
excess
look up
triangle,
Snell's
though.
law. Look up Fermat's principle.
All right, but the spherical excess triangle, it doesn't matter if things are up or down. That's not even part of it.
You say that, but it does.
It doesn't. If you know how this works, it doesn't. If the mountain's higher or lower, it doesn't matter. It's left to right.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the mountain. No. I'm not talking about the mountain. I'm talking about in a theoretical scenario, right, where you have everything is planar, bro. Forget about elevation. That's just going to complicate things. If you have three total stations all pointed at each other, and you're measuring three triangles, which I mean, it's more. They say it's more accurate to do three triangles because you cancel out the collimation. That's what they say. If there's any divergent, it's going to cancel out. That's not the case.
So
You can only
hang on
do
a
it with
second.
three triangles.
Hold on a second. Let's be clear about this. So when you're getting spherical excess, you have a triangle that you're measuring to two different stations, right? I'm standing on one peak and I'm measuring to two different stations using an azimuthal angle, meaning I'm tracking from left to right, from station A over turning it to the right to station B, right? However, then what happens is I take two different triangles that are the legs of that angle. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring the angles from another set of triangles to the base, or down the same vertical to those original two stations, and that is how you get spherical excess, because the angle of the lower triangle is a different angle than the angle of the upper triangle. When you add together the angles of those low triangles, those triangles, you get more than 180.
Right. So what I'm talking about is specific. It's a specific experiment, right, where you have three stations, right, and you're measuring the spherical excess, right. You got a spherical triangle on the globe, right, but pretend it's all planar. Once you start adding elevation change and you're doing mountaintops, it's going to complicate the math. You're going to get lost in the obscurity. So I'm trying to make it dumb simple. Forget about elevation change. You have three stations, right, on a planar surface. Let's say the salt flats. Then you do the math. Then you figure it out. You're still going to end up with spherical excess. Why is that?
No.
I'm asking the flat earthers, why is that?
It could be left to right refraction, but if you do it on a plane, it shouldn't. If there's no left to right refraction, which in the arc of the parallel thing, there was left to right refraction. So there's that.
In the arc of the parallel, there's left to right refraction?
Yes, we went over that document for 2 months one time.
Does it measure it more than an arc second?
You can't. They didn't measure it at all. There is no measurement of refraction over any long distance. There's zero measurements of it.
Well, why do you say it moves from left to right?
They said there was refraction there. I don't know why they said it happens or why it does happen. I don't know, but they said it was there in the paper.
Don't they address? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I mean it is there, but it's like one of these things that's transient, and you just get rid of it by averaging.
Yeah, you could get an average apparent position. Yeah, now we're back down to not having an actual position.
Yeah,
which is what you need to do geometry. You need actual positions to do geometry, right?
No,
you don't. You don't need actual positions to do geometry.
You need good enough.
So
no measurement is dead on balls accurate.
So I posted a picture of how the spherical excess is working. Okay, it's in the chat at 46 Pascal. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what you have to look at. So what Apocryphon, I agree with Lion that the that it gets pretty complicated. I think I disagree about how it gets complicated, and I don't explicitly have a response. I mean, I don't think he didn't address the question to me, so I'm not trying to answer that. What I'm just trying to do is put that picture in there, and it's not the triangle CAE that's greater than 180. The spherical excess is measured when angle A for all the measurements between all three of those stations is different than angle B.
Okay, you go to A. You measure the angle from B to C. You go to B, you measure the angle from A to C. You go to C, you measure the angle from A to B. Those should add up. If it was a real triangle, those would add up to 180. If it's a spherical triangle, over 180.
Well, note that the angle is not the same. That just if you understand that A and B are not the same angle, then that tells you what is going on there. What's meant by spherical excess. So, by the way, I'm looking for left to right refraction. What did they call it in the document?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
we
heard
went over
that,
this.
so I'm not going to argue it.
Yeah, it could be. I was just curious. I'm not saying they didn't say it. I just wanted to.
I don't know what the technical name was. This was a long time ago. We went over this for months.
Okay.
I would think that the place where mostly you would address that would be in the idea that if the answers come out the same, or if they come out different, it would be random. Theoretically, it's not going to go tend to be more right than it is left, and more left than it is right. It's going to be something that happens transiently. So you're going to averaging should eliminate it as best you can eliminate something like that. But there won't be a tendency for it to be always left or always right.
I mean, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. You'd have to have a measurement of which way the light's bending to know that. Maybe on the side of a mountain.
Use deduction and logic.
Maybe on the side of one of the mountains, there's some shit going on where there's some gas coming out or something. Like, you don't know.
And that would be at all mountains that we would see this, because they all seem to show a positive or it shows curvature. So,
dude, I don't know. In order to know which way the light's bending, you'd have to measure which way the light's bending. Otherwise, until then, like I don't know why that happens or if that's even happening. So,
why do you have the absurd need for perfection? Only when it comes to measuring globe things.
It's not an absurd need for perfection. We just need to know. We just need to know which way the light's bending at this point. That is its own measurement.
He's got his definition. Go ahead.
That's a whole separate measurement now. Like, your measurement isn't a measurement because inside your measurement there's a geometric thing that's happening that we don't have a measurement of. It's not that I need perfection. I realize no measurements are perfect. I realize that.
But we do know tendencies. We do know how, refraction or left to right should be random because there is no gradient left to right. There's just simply isn't, and especially over different measurements. Like if I take 3 measurements, that gradient is not going to always be left. It's not going to always be right. There's no condition that could cause that to happen in all places.
I don't know. Maybe not. We don't know because we don't have a measurement of it.
So, Mark, so I've been around with this for a while, and Jeremy has and it's not he's not being disingenuous about it. He has a standard, and it's not just for flat Earth measurements too. Like he objected to the use of square feet as a measurement for a sphere because a sphere is a non-developable surface, and you can't get a square foot, a block, a plane of 1 foot on the side. You can't map that to a sphere, to the surface of a sphere, without deforming it. So, having talked to him about this on several different things, I don't think it's something that you're going to be able. I don't think you're going to be able to see eye to eye.
Right, but isn't that an absurd requirement? Like on a sphere of 24,000 miles in radius or 20 in circumference?
The gray area is where
you could put by any
is where flat Earth lives. It seems like.
Well, just a minute, just a second. So, dude,
I got 3 words out before you started stepping on it, dude.
Yeah, hold on, guys. Let's let Moyak finish. Don't piss him off because I want to talk to Moyak about a saltwater battery when we're done with this. So please.
Good.
I mean, I think and this is more for Jeremy, but it's an absurd requirement to say that it's an undevelopable surface. A ball that is 24,000 miles in circumference will have square feet by any measurable standard, by any reasonable measurable standard.
He's not. I don't think
realize that.
Yeah,
I realize that, Mike.
Yeah, I think he realizes that.
You could fudge it a little bit. It's a nanometer off on one side. Yes, I realize you put a square foot. Like mathematically and geometrically, though, you can't put a square foot on a sphere.
Right.
Yeah, you can.
Deviate in a perfect world.
Oh,
You
Tony
can.
says, yeah, you can. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the easy way. Let's just do a foot. Okay. I get go, baby, go. You get a ribbon, put it on the ground, mark off for a foot on the ribbon, and then get a basketball and wrap it around. You're able to measure the basketball, aren't you? There's ways of doing this, and that's what geodetic measurements are. It's the curve. Like, you got crazy. But anyway, the ribbon thing's right.
Yeah, Tony. The thing Jeremy's arguing there is the perfection of it. There is, in the case of a basketball, there is not a sphere. There is not a square foot that all corners of it can be touching on that sphere. But it would be off by thousandths of a micrometer.
Yeah, it's unreasonable. I mean, that's just where the argument lies, though. I mean, that's where you get a lot of the argument from, is that gray area, because it's hard to argue the gray area, especially when one side has all the answers and the other side lives in the gray area. It's just, that's the way it is.
All right. So I don't know how this even came up. This is just like a side argument, but
right. Saltwater battery.
Please, unless anyone has any closing statements on the spherical triangle thing, can we move on? Or
I want to hear about the salt battery thing.
I know.
I'll tell you, Jeremy. Yesterday I was wrong about that. I know the chemistry of the aluminum air battery, which requires a saltwater electrolyte on it. So I was thinking that's what you were talking about. There is other saltwater batteries that just use salt water and different metals, and those are rechargeable. They're not terribly efficient, but you can make them huge at relatively low cost.
Yeah, China. That's what I was saying. China has one that can power a city and shit. You know what I'm saying? But I still think that it eats the metal. I think in a saltwater battery, it eats the metal.
If it's rechargeable, I think it will eventually eat it. Like it'll have a finite life. But you'll be
the equivalent of a magnet wearing out?
Where the ions are.
Yeah, is it the equivalent of a magnet wearing out or something? Like, how often does that even happen? Yeah.
Like a car battery, for lack of a better term, you basically, after a while, you
got to put more salt water in it.
Not even more salt water. The ions, when you charge it and discharge it, ions are leaving the material and going elsewhere into suspension or whatever else. And I think at some points you can use that stuff up. So your copper will no longer be able to go back to the plate and get when it's recharged.
Yeah, it wears out. It wears out because I made one of these when I was a kid about 25 years ago. I went and bought all the parts from Home Depot, a piece of copper, some wire, metal. I used a Tupperware thing, an LED light, and I connected that all up and just had one single LED lit off a little Tupperware of salt. Like I just dumped salt in. I didn't measure it or anything, but
right.
Yeah, it was lit for a very long time. I don't even know. Wasn't really paying attention that close. It was just something for fun, but
yeah.
The question is how many watts do you get? The question is how many watts do you get before the metal wears out, or you got to replace the salt or something? Now that's a fucking hassle. Unless you're.
Well, that's one of the beauties of salt. Salt is like this, ubiquitous chemical that's available everywhere, and it's not terribly toxic. So I mean, it's very replenishable. And then you just need two different types of metal. It could be copper, it could be steel, it could be aluminum.
It allows the electricity to travel freely.
I missed you. Go ahead, say again.
I think hydrogen.
Tony, you're roboting.
The reason
you're roboting, Tony.
Oh, my bad.
Just take 5, bro. You've been spitting crazy shit all morning.
And I've been cold, dude. I'm cold. Stop telling me what to do, Jeremy. For real. Like I'm not being crazy. Okay. God damn, dude. You are a prick. Yeah.
Just take
I'm not being
5, man.
unreasonable. I'm just being, dude. I'm good though.
In my
I mean, I'm
little
just asking. Like, I think it's the hydrogen in the water that it once that I think I don't know, it breaks down, and then once that's gone, then you have to replenish it. I got to look at that back up again though. It has something to do with the hydrogen.
Yeah, the little bit of research I did on these batteries, I didn't find any of the ones you were talking about, like the Power of City ones, but I did find the tractor trailer ones, and I think they were talking about 20,000 cycle lives expectancy, so that's pretty good charging discharge cycle.
Before what? Before you got to replace the salt or the metal?
I think before it has to be rebuilt. I don't know what has to be rebuilt about it. I don't think it was just drain it and fill it again.
Well, you have to put another anode in there.
Yeah, I think the anode burns up.
So the metal, you're saying 20,000 cycles and the metal needs to be replaced?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean,
And there was
sounds
like
a
three
lot
different. There was 3 different technologies with it. It wasn't just one. So I mean, I don't know which one had the 20,000 life cycles.
And the thing about it is, every time you use it, you can't charge it as much as you did the time before. You know, it just keeps gradually going down, 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 down. You know, so
no
it has to do
charging of
something.
anything. It's just constantly putting power out. Like there's no charging something.
Oh no! If it's doing that, the thing that you're gonna have to point out what technology you're talking about is the one I was seeing was a recharging system. If
I
it's not
don't
recharging,
even
then
really know.
cathodes and anodes wear out in relatively short time.
If you just have it constantly going.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I had an LED lit for. I mean, I could redo this. This
Right.
is easy.
The LED thing is you're taking off a teeny tiny bit of power. Those things are phenomenally low. They're terribly efficient. That's why we use them for household lighting and stuff.
Yeah,
And
no
a
doubt.
single LED is milliamps.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd like to see though how many times you could just keep putting salt water in it before the battery and keep one LED on, and you could do the math. I'm just surprised this isn't bigger technology for people that live near the ocean, or I mean, I thought they sold these for. Don't they sell these for boats? I've been telling people for a decade they sell these saltwater batteries for boats, but I went to look for one and I couldn't friggin' find it.
I think what it boils down to is weight and efficiency.
Why does the weight matter?
Because you got to move all that weight. So if you want to go like 1 mile an hour because you're carrying 50,000 tons of battery.
Oh, bro, we're not using this for a car. This ain't for cars.
Yeah, but a boat still, you got to get that weight moving.
Oh, boats. Well, boats have the water right there, though.
Yes, but
I'm more looking at this for houses.
Yeah, well, I thought you said boat a second ago, so that's why I was off on boats.
Well, no, yeah, I thought they sold saltwater batteries for boats. Yeah, because I mean, you're in the saltwater. You're in it. It's right there. You don't have to like bring it with you. It's just there.
Again, if it's sacrificial cathode and anode, then it's got a finite life. So if you're just taking water from outside to use it, then you're using up the metal.
Yeah.
Used up as far as I know.
Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, I get the point, but the point that I'm illustrating is how do you substantiate that one ruler, that one tape measure to meet the qualifying standards that define that 1 foot or what have you?
That's what you're saying. You're saying we need to take all other tape measures out of existence and just have one ultimate tape measure.
No, we just have to have the original one to compare to.
Do we know how long an inch is?
I don't know.
Real quick. So I get what Deslo's saying, and to answer that question, I would say you would have to measure something in reference with the original, right? Like something unchangeable, and definitely unchangeable, stable forever. Which very few things are like that.
Right.
I mean, even the standards, like in France and stuff, those are all based on temperature and stuff. If it's 98 degrees and
dust, carbon powder. Nope.
Are you?
That makes no sense. Wait, so if, of course, we all know there's something that causes gravity, but gravity also causes other effects. So can you not accept the answer of gravity pulling
He's
gas
not
molecules?
accepting gravity. He wants it to be mass, which is fine. So mass is matter.
I don't want anything. Stop telling me what I want. You cannot read minds. Shut up.
I can read minds.
I'm happy you made it here, Gregory. I'd like everyone to kind of give Gregory some respect here and just let him propose his questions, if that's okay.
I give him as much as he gives anybody else.
Yeah, he's condescending and just weird, man.
Well, then answer my question about.
I love Gregory.
gravity.
Gregory is great. Gregory is fantastic. Go ahead, Gregory.
I think I actually have a philosophical rebuttal to this argument, but I mean, I don't,
But let's try again because I'm not getting a clear answer without the cross talking. The answer is said and then it gets buried under other interjections. Let's try again. What is the cause? Matter. Remember, that's not a cause. Matter, being matter, is not a cause.
Sure it is. Mass.
It isn't.
Mass has an intrinsic property of attracting other mass.
Okay, how are you attracting without doing anything? How are you pulling without doing anything?
How does a magnet attract other magnets?
That would be me. That would mean I would have that.
It's a scrutinizing question to your metaphysical doctrine. How does something pull something else without doing anything?
The same way a magnet does.
Oh my God.
You can't even define that. So why would you use that when you can't even define that?
So because it makes the point that if a magnet is not doing anything,
to say the same way a magnet does is to simply ignore the question. You're not answering the question with a relevant answer. You're not explaining how. You're just saying because it happens in another instance, but you're not explaining how that happens in any given instance, including that.
So,
magnetic attraction doesn't actually even exist whatsoever. It's a conceptual phantasm of highly ignorant minds since immemorial.
So
it's a false idea based on the mutual mass acceleration of magnets towards one another, and it's also a false concept based on faulty observational acuity. Therefore, falsely is conceived as magnetic attraction, but that actually doesn't exist. So go ahead and define that, Omni. I'm interested to hear what you.
Hang on. Before he gets to magnetism, before he gets to magnetism, it's a digression to another subject. It's a worthy subject, and it's obviously relevant to what Omni mentioned. It's not the current subject. He needs to explain how an object, a material entity, pulls anything without doing anything.
Because it has a intrinsic effect, which is that it affects the space around it. In fact, the entire universe, but according to the inverse square law, that will pull other masses towards it.
An intrinsic effect is analytically erroneous. That is not meaningful. Effects are not intrinsic.
An
effect is not an intrinsic property.
Sure it is.
No, it's not. It's categorically erroneous. You don't know what you're talking about. An effect is a subsequent event that is relationally that is related to the antecedent that manifested it. It's not an intrinsic property.
So, does a boulder on the ground push down into the ground?
Sure.
So it's not. So, do you define that as doing something?
Sure. And
so is that if that is doing something and it's just sitting on the ground, it's taking no action, it has no volition, but it's intrinsic because of its intrinsic property that we
is not an example of that. That is so stupid. It's pushing on the ground. It's doing something.
Gregory, hold on. So it's pushing on the ground, but it's not taking a volitional action to push on the ground. It's just existing.
Which is beside the point. So what?
Gregory, control yourself. Control yourself. Come on, man.
Dude, you're multiplying these scrutinizing questions.
You're old enough.
Obviously moot.
You're old enough to control yourself, Gregory. Come on. Control yourself.
Dude, you are such a bullshitter.
So
this is not an instance of an object not doing anything and pulling something. This is an instance in your own example of an object doing something, which is pushing on the ground.
It is but just by existing as an intrinsic property.
No, the cause is not existing. You idiot.
Yes,
Ad
it is
hom, double ad
existing.
hom.
It's ridiculous. No, it is
Yeah,
not.
that's
You don't
insult.
do something by just existing.
It's
You
not an
do
ad
something.
hom. It's not an ad hom. He is just trying to insult me. It's okay. It's
That's what I
okay.
meant.
I know.
So patently, obviously wrong. That is an instance of doing something, not doing something.
So how
And being material is not an act.
So how do you
It's not a cause.
how do you define? So what is the cause of it pushing into the ground?
Dude, we're
What is
still
the cause?
scrutinizing your metaphysic.
No. I'm
We're
asking
still
you.
scrutinizing your metaphysic.
I'm asking you clarifying questions.
No. We're
Clarifying
still scrutinizing
questions.
your
Yeah,
metaphysic,
I
and
get-
you're
I
trying
get
to
that.
digress from it. And now
I
you're
get
trying to
that.
verbally wrestle me to digress from that.
I get to ask clarifying questions, and I've
There's
given
no
you.
clarifying questions. You're digressing.
I'm giving you an
You are committing a category error.
No, I'm
You
not.
are trying to sit up here and tell me that being matter is an act and a cause. It isn't. You don't have any justification to say it is.
Yes.
If you think you do, actually say an argument.
I do.
Not digress to scrutinizing me.
I 100% do, and I just said it. So if
You didn't just say an argument. You said scrutinizing questions to me.
Gregory, shut up for a
All
minute.
right, guys. Yeah, one at a time. Omni, when you hear Gregory going off, just
Full of
let him do
shit.
his thing, and vice versa, guys. Let's go one at a time. Omni, please.
It's not omnivore, bro. It's Gregory literally over speaking him. Thank you.
Well, I don't.
No.
Yeah, we don't
He needs
need
to
I don't need the
answer my
corrections,
question
bro.
with an argument.
Yeah.